All right, here we are for week 10 of the LiveCoding GDAX project. And it looks like we've already got the emulator quitting on us. So I usually try to get that started beforehand because it does, well, we all know how the emulator is. Anywho, let's take a look at the project we've been working on and what we're trying to do. So this web page, or rather GDAX, is a place where you can trade dollars for Ethereum tokens, which is a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. And what we're trying to do is take all this information on the page here and put it into an app. And what makes it nice is that they've got a nice API for pulling in all the trade history, all the orders, and really everything that's on this page. And just for people who are new to the stream here, this section up here, these red orders, these are people who want to sell Ethereum tokens. So say this guy wants to sell 111.5 and change for a price of $224. And then down here, somebody wants to buy for 24 tokens at a price of $223. And whenever two people agree on a price, it becomes a trade, and it goes over here in the trade history. And then there's also a price chart to show where the price has been over the past few days or so. And so we're trying to pull all this information into an app and display it back to the user. And also, if I'm not easily heard or anything's difficult to see, let me know. Sometimes things go wrong. Cool. All right. But before we get to getting back to this project, there's something I want to point out. So if you follow me on Twitter, you probably know this, but the Nearby API was recently released, and they did it in a really cool way. So Nearby was not, it's not on just devices on a certain API level. They did it to devices through Google Play services. So it's pretty much on every device, which is awesome. And what Nearby is, especially this one is cool, is that you can do offline high bandwidth connections and networks between phones. So you can make a network between, say if you've got 6 people sitting in a living room, you can make a network between those phones and, I don't know, make a game or something like a card game or really anything like a communication app, and it'll work completely offline using only Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi radios. So no network connection needed. You can connect directly to other people's phones and like a mesh network and do all sorts of really cool stuff. And so that was released on Wednesday, I think it was. So that, oh, I got something on my finger there. So play with that. I've been playing with it. I hope to get something more concrete with that to see how it works and maybe write a blog post about it. But it's really cool stuff. So definitely check out the Nearby API. What is that? One second. Where did that come from? All right, and then what's cool about Nearby Messages is it's kind of the same deal except for iOS as well. So you can have, so for example, if you're at like a concert or a sporting event where there's like thousands, tens of thousands of people and there's no service, you could have an app like this that just connects the phones directly to each other without having to spin up and go to a satellite or a cell tower or anything like that. So this is really, really cool stuff. I'm really excited to see what comes or what developers can do with Nearby. And if you are interested in looking into it, please do. Really cool stuff. And I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with it this weekend for sure. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got so far in the project. Just do a quick overview. And first, let me check if there's questions. Perfect. So again, Nearby API, check it out. Really cool. Offline connections between Android devices and high bandwidth. So you could make like a Mario Kart clone and completely offline. Yeah, awesome. So this project is huge. And how it works right now is it's running right now, isn't it? There we go. So we've got the trade history page here. And if we pull up this, we should be able to compare them. Oh, and that's interesting that it used scientific notation for that. That's the first time I've seen that. We can see there's that order for that at 1306.10 right there. Oh, and there comes that one. 626. So we've got the trade history coming in. We got, did we just get this before this did? So we got those trades, and then we have the order book section, except the order book doesn't really work quite yet. So that's where we're working now. And how it works in the grander scheme of things is that there are 5 types of messages. So whenever an order comes in to GDAX, it gets a received message, and then there's an open message for when an order doesn't complete immediately, and then there's done for when an order is done, and match for when you find a match. So this is our trade history page is based entirely on this matched orders section. So what we get is we get a stream from a WebSocket of messages, of these messages, and it's up to us to handle these messages and turn it into a UI. So it's not quite as straightforward as they send us, you know, the orders here. They have to send us all these different messages. So if we get an order and it's open, then we might get a message later that says that they've changed that order to take out. So maybe this guy who wants 113, he says, you know what? No, I only want 60. So then we're going to get a change order message, and we have to handle that in our UI and as well as our database behind the scenes to make sure that we're reflecting reality. So that's going to be pretty challenging. And where we are now is we have pulled in the order book as it stands as a REST API call. So step 1 is you get the order book from the REST API, and it gives you all the orders that are already here. So you get kind of a snapshot of the order book, and then you save that off. And then you need to connect to the WebSocket and kind of combine all the messages that you get with the WebSocket and the REST API snapshot to get this real-time order book. So for example, if we refresh this page, that'd be kind of like we've opened our app. So we open it, and we're going to get all this data right here, I'm trying to point with my hand, that doesn't work, as one object that we're going to put in our order book. But then, as we see this, all these flashing changes, this is all the messages we'd be receiving. And then, so as we receive those messages, we need to change the order book to reflect that, which is pretty challenging. And we could see where that ends up kind of back in the code. So let's give a brief overview of the code. So this data section, we've got a message parser, which we're in, and let's see, where do we call read message? Command B. All right, so here's the WebSocket. We've got our WebSocket, and okay, not sure why he's messaging me during the stream, but we've got our WebSocket, and then we send a message to subscribe to the WebSocket, which this is what kicks off our ability to receive messages. And we use a WebSocket because WebSockets let you basically have a persistent connection instead of an API call where you make the call and then it sends you a result. WebSocket is sort of like an open pipe that's just there. And so we get that, and then when we get a message, so we override this onMessage function, then we pass that into our parser, and we call the read message function. Now in the parser, we can do a when, which is Kotlin's version of switch, on the type of the message, and then we can read those 5 types of message. And currently what we do with them right now is we just put them into a database. So how this works is that we get all this data, we put it into the database, and then to render the UI, we just consult the database. We say, what's in the database? That's what's in the UI. And that should help keep things pretty simple. I mean, we'll see if we have any issues going forward, but so far it's worked out pretty well. So, and you can see here we're using the, this stands for database access object. So this is all the new Room API stuff. And if you want to see what that looks like, so you define a class, which is your table here. Then you define an interface for interacting with that, and you define some messages. It's just really easy to use. All right, so then we get all the messages and we put them in a database and we pull them back out into the UI using view models, which is a little confusing how all this works, and I'm not entirely sure it works all the time like I expect it to. But the deal with view models is basically just that the data exists throughout the app's lifecycle instead of the activity's lifecycle. So in theory, if you rotate the app, the view model will stay persistent and not die like the activity does, which lets you not have to reload your data, which is a good thing. And so we've got trade history, adapter, fragment, and view model, and we've got the same thing for open orders. Open orders, adapter, fragment, and view model. And then we've got main activity, of course, and I think this one's not used. Let's see. So we can put this here, Command B, and it says no usage is found, so we can delete this. And then in main activity, we create our layout using Anko, which is a really cool library. And then we use a drawer, which again, I believe uses Anko. Yep. So this creates the nav drawer right here. And we define a data class. I think this is pretty cool. We define a data class for a nav drawer entry, which lets us then create an array of these, and then we can loop through this array and create a text view for each one. So that's a pretty slick way to make your nav drawer. All right, let's see. So we don't have anything in the order book. I'm pretty sure we had something showing up last time. So let's see if there's some questions on any of that, and then we'll get back into trying to figure out what's going on with the order book and displaying everything and working on the issues that we need to work on. Cool. All right, so this is going to be probably a little slower than that was, but got the order book there. So open orders adapter. And my first thought, oh, there we go. Okay. So why was that not showing up? Anywho, the order book right now, it's not just, it shouldn't be right as it is. I think, can we see where I'm taking the shortcut here? Or is it, might not be in the adapter, might be in the fragment. Yep, so right here, we are taking a big shortcut, or not really a shortcut, we're just not getting the right answer at all for what the orders are. We are getting open orders, which is, or rather should be from, let's see if we control B on that. Yep, so that's from our open orders view model. So this should be from the open orders table through basically this. And so we have open orders, and then from our open orders list, we filter on is it a bid, and then this returns another list, except this list will only have the bids, bid being the people who want to buy, ask being the word for people who are trying to sell. And so this would be the asks, the not bids. And then what we do with the bids is we sort them by descending. So we want the top 10 bids. So we sort descending by price. Then we take the first 10. And is there also a take last? I bet there is. Let's see. Take. Yep, there is take last. So there's a bunch of take methods for what you need. So this is going to be, Kotlin gives you these functions, all this stuff just for free. So it's sort of RX-ish in that regard. But so we're taking the top 10 bids. This is going to be the highest 10 bids. And we're going to take the lowest, so sorted by without the descending, presumably goes by ascending. So it would be the lowest ones getting bigger as we go down. And so we have the lowest asks, and we take 10 of those. And then we create a list of asks up top and bids after that. And then we clear our open orders and the adapter. Then we add those to the open orders. And this is how we've been updating our recycler views for this project so far. And we haven't needed to change it yet, but we might need to. So sort of a scorched earth policy on that. It's so in our open orders adapter, we just have a list of orders, order being a data class that we define right here. And so all you do is you just clear this list, you reset it, and you call notify dataset changed. And then that updates your recycler view. Really simple to do, but it's not as precise as, say, notify dataset, inserted or whatever, because that would obviously be a lot harder for us to program, but maybe a little more efficient. So, oops, stay here, and we were in open orders fragment. Yeah, so we add them to the list, call notify dataset change, and that's how it updates. So actually this, just at first blush, this should be accurate for the top 10. So let's see if that's the case. So, and it might be a little delayed. That's just how it seems to work. And no, so it's not accurate. And that would be, Oh, right. So we don't really remove anything from our tables. So the best bid and the worst ask are probably going to be a little off. And we're also not rolling these up. So for example, this 11.7875, that's presumably a combination of this 11, maybe this 5. Oh, and now it's gone too. But so see how we've got 2, 2, 3, 7, 5. We need to combine all these 7 5s into one row here. We don't. So here in the order book, they're not showing us every single order. They're showing us all the size at the price. So if there's 10 orders at, say, 223.74, we're still just going to get one row. So that's something we got to fix here. And then the other issue is that when an order completes or an order is canceled or an order is whatever, we're not removing it from the open orders table, I don't think. And so nothing's ever going to leave here, which is bad because obviously things are moving and updating and changing. Though I think if we get, if this goes over 22385, it would update, but I'm not going to sit here and wait for that to happen. That's far from a guarantee. Though maybe this one should be updating. If this comes in, this would be lower and then update. But, well, we'll figure that out. All right, let's go into the code and make some changes. All right. So first of all, let's print back maybe the best bid, or no, the best ask. So actually, I am a little concerned about, go back here. Why are we not seeing this guy? So this should sort lower than this and be updated. Perhaps it's not being updated like I think it is. So first of all, let's check what we're logging, because I know if you, for example, log the messages, and let's just close all of these, and then I'll open back up orders adapter and orders fragment. So if we log all the messages that come in, we're just gonna log way too much stuff. Yeah, which we're doing. Is that true? No, that's not today's date at all. And that's not the right emulator. So see how it says disconnected? You can pick here. Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, are we still? Oh, we're logging something interesting. We'll look at whatever that is in a second. But something to call out, that if you do want to play with the nearby API, obviously you'll want to have a couple phones. So if you're lucky enough to have a couple phones like I do, something you can do that's really helpful is when you run the project, and let me come in here, and oh, we don't have that checked. So I guess if I hit run, it'll pop up the box, right? Nope. That's weird. Okay, stop. Shouldn't be running a test. All right, stop all that. Okay, stop everything. There we go. So in the connected devices section, then if you have two devices plugged in, you'll see both of them. And what you can do is you can use Shift to select more than one. And then if you hit OK, it'll run on all of those devices. So I've been running some sample code for the nearby stuff, and I've been running it on more than one device by selecting both of them and then hitting OK to run it. So if you didn't know you could do that, you can test on more than one device at a time by just selecting more than one device and the selector. All right, let's figure out what we were logging here. Perfect. So let's see, Best Buy, I saw that. So let's see where I type Best Buy in here. So Control-Shift-F, Best Buy, and okay. Oh, cool. So we are logging the best by. So if this get alt, is this sorted? That's important to know here. This is sorted by price descending. Okay. And so best by is going to show us the open order with the highest price. And if you're not aware, in Kotlin, this is how you can do a thread. So what this is just polling every second for the best buy as a way for us to be able to figure out what the best buy is. And price of 498. See, that's not a buy, that's an ask CSS side cell. So we need to, so best buys dot filter it dot is bid or it dot side equals buy. Okay, so that, let's run that. Oh, and what do we, oh, right. And so I've needed to explain this in every video, but I think this is actually new because I didn't have this error on Android Studio 2.3, which I have on my other computer. But this warning here that it expects a type of resource ID is not an error. You can set your IDs to integers. That's what they expect. So this should be a warning. And it obviously runs with that being there. And since that's going to take a sec to run, let's see if there's any questions. What language are we coding in here? This is Kotlin. So this is a new language. Well, I guess it's not that new, but it's newly accepted by the Android team. And that, I mean, officially accepted. So at Google I/O, they officially announced Kotlin as a supported language for Android development. And before that, it was basically officially accepted by a lot of people involved in Android, but for a lot of folks who work on bigger teams, or, you know, if you work in a really big company or something, you need that official support from the Android team to be able to adopt Kotlin. So that's been done, and now Kotlin is probably going to eclipse Java in the Android space if it hasn't already. It's just a lot nicer than Java, and just for, you know, if you don't understand what's going on with all this stuff, which is totally fine, the easiest thing to point out is the lack of semicolons. So, you know, that's going to save you a not insignificant amount of typing. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's see if that ran. So all of these best buys now should be side by, perfect. And the price, let's see if that adds up. And 22299. Bet that's wrong. 223.3. So yeah, I think that means that we're not cutting out the orders. So again, we've got the orders, they're in the database, but they're not getting removed. Okay, so we need to figure out how to fix that. We've got orders, it's gonna be somewhere in message parser. We'll want to, yeah, changes are gonna be, all right, let's look at the docs real quick. Let's make sure we're doing this correctly. So match. A trade occurred between two orders. Execute immediately after being received, and the maker is, yep. The side is sell. Okay, okay. So with a match order, my question is, what happens if the order, well, you know, one of the orders doesn't get completely matched? Does it tell us anything about that? I guess it gives us the size. Done. The order is no longer on the order book. Sent for all orders for which there was a received message. So received should be every single order generates a received message. And just to explain something that's kind of important here, if you place an order called a market order, then that's saying just buy whatever at whatever price, just give me this many of them and I'll pay whatever it costs. And if you make a limit order, so that's this button here, then you're saying I'll buy them but at this specific price. And so if you say if I do a market order, then the person whose order I have kind of hit, that person is considered the market maker, and I'm sort of the market taker. So I'm kind of crossing the line to hit their order. So for example, this person who just bought 61, they crossed the line over here and bought from this pile right here. And so this person would be the maker in that order, or sorry, the taker, because they crossed the line, and this person is the maker. And for what it's worth, on GDEX, there are no fees for being a maker. So these people don't pay anything to trade, which is really cool, especially when the stock market, $7 is like the lowest you can get for a trade. So free is really cool. Anywho, somewhat of an aside, back where we were, we have received orders, and yeah, so received, we're going to get everything, and received does not indicate whether it actually hit the order book. So if you're a market order, you don't hit the order book, you would just go, like that 61 guy, he just got filled immediately by this order. And so received doesn't tell us anything about whether an order hit the books or whether it was filled immediately. However, if we get an open message, that order is now open on the order book. So, for example, this guy definitely generated an open message because we can see it. So anything we see over here generated an open message. And then we have done, which is the order is no longer on the order book. Sent for all orders for which there was a received message. So that should be for all orders. So I think done might be what we need to listen for to get the orders out of our book that are gone. Okay, good. This message can result from an order being canceled or filled, so that's good. We don't have to listen for that. And there will be no more messages for this order ID after a done message. Okay, and remaining size indicates how much of the order went unfilled. So for example, if you cancel the order and there's some left, that would be what the remaining size is. I don't think we have any use for that information, so that's not useful. And it will be 0 for filled orders, yep. And market orders will not have a remaining size or price field as they are never on the order book at a given price. And I remember that because if we go to the code here and we go to done orders, yeah, we had to do this nonsense. Because market orders didn't have a price or remaining size. So we had to deal with that because we expect them in our done order table. And what's cool about this right here, so if you're familiar with Java, you'll know I forget exactly what it looks like, but if x equal a question mark and then colon, the trinary operator, or I believe that's what it's called. But in Kotlin, we just have if statements, or rather if expressions. So the difference between an expression and a statement doesn't return a value, an expression does. And an expression is a statement that returns a value. So in Kotlin, you can have an if statement, which would just be like if 1 equals 1, and then do something, and this, I guess, technically returns nothing. But this wouldn't be used to return anything, but you can also set this so you could have val x equals if 1 is 1, except when you set it equal to something, you need to it needs to be exhaustive. So if 1 equals 1, this will be k, otherwise it'll be d. So instead of using that ternary operator, we can do it this way. And of course you can get rid of the brackets and put it all on one line, which is what we've got for this price line. All right, let's get back to the messages. So I think done's the one we need to use, but let's just read through these because that's the best practice and I should be showing best practices. So match order, a trade occurred between two orders. The aggressor or taker order is the one executing immediately after being received, and the maker order is a resting order on the book. Yep. And so this is what we're using currently to create the trade history page. And then we have change orders, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. If somebody changes anything about their order, we'll get a message about it. We'll read more about this as we try to implement it, but I think we'll start with done. And then hopefully that's enough to show us that we're on the right path. And then as we keep going, we can implement the rest of this stuff, which I think might just be change. So, but we'll start with done. So when we get a done order, all right, let me see if there's any questions on any of that. There's a lot of talking. All right, cool. How is Treehouse better than Udacity? Ooh, good question. Well, we have a Kotlin course that's really good, teaches you all about Kotlin by making a solitaire app. Also, I mean, it's all just better presented and easier to follow on Treehouse. But ultimately, if you're asking me, I think that's sort of a biased opinion, so I'll leave it at that. But I certainly think it's better, especially the Android stuff. But again, I should be especially biased on the Android stuff. And okay, so we've got done messages, and what we're doing with done orders is, I think, nothing other than putting them in our done orders table, which actually we might not even need a done orders table. Actually, we can keep the done orders table for now. I can't think of any use for it, but it is nice to kind of have that working that way. But I think what we want to do is when we get a done order, like we read, it says that means there's going to be no more messages for that order. So what we want to do is remove that order from the open orders table. So let's see if we have an ability to do that. Open orders, DAO, delete, open orders, perfect. And let's see, command B. Okay, yeah, that's in our clear database function. I think that's the only use. So delete, perhaps we will also need, let's get another one. Can I, probably can't repeat the name, but we'll wait for it to give us an error. Open order, no error. Okay, cool. I feel like there should be a way to combine those two, but either way, that looks good to me. So we have the ability to delete. So now when we get a done order, and I just want to double check that message real quick. Done. Order is no longer on the order book. All right, period. That's pretty clear. And we are using the order book, the open orders table, as our order book, correct? Yes, open orders. So here, let's add it there, and then we'll put some space at the bottom just so it's a little clear that we're doing something different. So when we first started the project, the first thing we did was set up all this room stuff. We didn't know what we were going to do with it yet. We just set it up. So this doesn't mean that we need all of these tables or that these tables even need to exist, but we are getting it all. So here, let's get db.openordersDAO.delete, and we need an open order to delete. So open order from the data package, and what do you need? You need a sequence. That's not gonna, we don't, The sequence is definitely going to be different, but, so how can we delete using just a primary key is the question. Or do we have a primary, let's look at the open orders DAO, see if we have a primary key for this. Primary key is order ID. So let's go back to open orders DAO, delete. Let's see if we can't delete with just a primary key. So room, Android, room, delete, primary key. See, this is just deleting from the thing. We'll delete its parameters from the database. All of the parameters of the delete method must either be annotated with entity, meaning the thing, or collections arrays of it. All right, let's just go into here real quick and I'll control F delete. Let's see what it says. Yeah, see, it's got user again. But it's not going to be the same. Foreign keys, not so useful there. Delete is a convenience method that deletes a set of entities given as parameters from the database. It uses, there we go, it uses the primary key to find the entities to delete. Perfect. Okay. So again, room is awesome. Let's assume that that works as it says it does. So we don't need to worry about, in this case, actually, do those all default too? So Command B here, oops, missed the B button. Yes, these all have default values. So really, I think we just need to put in the order ID. And in Kotlin, you don't have to specify every parameter, and you can name them. So we can do order ID equals, and then put in order ID. And then we can delete val open order, and then we can delete that open order. Okay, from open orders DAO, when we get a done message. I think that sounds good. So, and if we check the log cat, Best Buy is said was 223.3 still this whole time. So that's obviously wrong that it just keeps saying the same Best Buy price. So there, we've got our logs coming in, downloaded the order book retrieved, added 26,000 orders to our open orders database. All right. Unique constraint failed. That's not good. And let's run that again, because I don't know why that unique constraint would fail. And I just want to see it fail again to make sure that it's not a one-off sort of deal. Because I believe we are clearing the database at the beginning of everything. Done inserting. Okay, good. So you see we didn't get that error this time. We might see that again and have to figure out what's going on. And that happened in app. So let's quickly just look in app so we can get, okay, that might have been clear database then. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, close. Goodbye, world. What? That's not good. I believe this closed me, so let's go over here to my WebSocket. Yeah. Somehow the WebSocket got shut down. Did we? Oh, okay. All right, let's see what that's all about. So I am filtering by something, and it's annoying that you can't see it over here, but I'm actually filtering by this backtick character because that's what all my logs have in it, is backtick tilde. And usually the backtick's enough to just show me my stuff, but close that out. Let's see what we got. Ha! Couldn't read row something. Oh my goodness, it's in a... Make sure the cursor is initialized correctly before accessing data from it. This is not something we wrote. So this open orders DAO IMPL, which I assume stands for implementation. This is code that was generated for us behind the scenes. So you can see we didn't write this. This is in the build folder. So that's kind of what Room does behind the scenes. It generates a bunch of code, which is cool, except when it errors. And it errored on this, which has been working. So we'll just run this again and hopefully not get any errors. And while that's running, let's see if there's any questions. No, this is Kotlin. So Valor asks if this is C++. Nope, Kotlin. And let's do quick Kotlin thing here. So Kotlin, like that. And so this is, it's actually super cool language, and it is perfect for Android. But not only that, they also do it can compile to JavaScript, and they have a native version as well. And one of the reasons that it's so cool is that the people behind Kotlin are JetBrains. So JetBrains is the company that makes IntelliJ IDEA, which is the Java IDE we use at Treehouse, And Android Studio is actually based off of IntelliJ IDEA, and they make all these other IDEs that, let's see if we can get a list. Yeah, so they make all these IDEs right here. I'm pointing with my fingers like you can see it. But they're awesome, and they're probably the most popular IDE maker in the world. And they've written Kotlin because they needed a more performant language than Java. And actually, I wrote a blog post about that just recently. So if you check out the Treehouse blog posts, I wrote a blog post on should you choose Java or Kotlin for Android development. And I come to the conclusion that unless you're a very new developer, you should use Kotlin because it's just better. And it came about because JetBrains needed a better JVM language, and so they made it, and it's awesome. And if you're an iOS person, it's very similar to Swift. Though I've seen some comparisons, I think it's a little better than Swift because there's a couple things in Swift that I'm not a huge fan of, but Swift would be a lot more fun to program in than Java. So, okay, we've got our best buys, and it looks like we got that error again. Unique constraint failed on open orders. And that means that, okay, I can explain why that happened, but let's check out the best buys. They are changing. That's good. We'll leave that at that. That's good. We've got changing best buys. So then questions. Cool. Nice. Oh, we have video lessons as well on Treehouse. Lots of them. But so back to this error right here. So this is an interesting thing. We're getting a SQLite constraint exception. And it's telling us that openOrders.orderID has been, I suppose, violated. And what's happening there, I think, so let me put in my filter thing. What we can see is we've got order book retrieved, and here's one. We got order book retrieved, then adding open orders, then done inserting, and we have finished inserting. So what's not happening here is we're not finishing inserting before the WebSocket picks up. So what's going on is that we ask for the REST API to give us the order book, and while that's happening, we get our WebSocket set up, and it starts giving us orders, and we start inserting those orders into our table. But then we get the response from the REST API, and it turns out that we've been inserting this whole time, so there's a collision. It's giving us an order that we also got from the WebSocket, which is not good, and which is why we get this constraint exception. So I actually saw something how we could fix that right in here. Was there no override conflict? I think that was the word. Aha, there we go. So replace operation so this method of replacing. So I think we could just do this instead. Let's see, what is. Okay, cool. So if we, presumably if we use this as the annotation, it will just replace it instead of throw that error, which is a really easy way to handle that situation. So let's actually pull that back up. Let's just jump to where that is. This button jumps to the bottom of the log, which is not apparently where I wanted to be. Actually, let's just go to app. And stop filtering on that. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't really tell us where that is. Control F, insert there. 2 matches, so this is where that's happening. So it's this function. So Command B, and then what we want to do is that insert, that replace. What is on conflict? Well, that's frustrating, isn't it? So let's look at that real quick. Yeah, look, they've got capital O on conflict, but it's really lowercase o. That's weird. Anywho, I think that should fix the issue. So let's run that again. And when we start the app, it clears everything, so it doesn't start with anything. It's got to get it pulled in. Go over to the order book, which I don't think is going to show us anything useful because we're more interested in... Well, actually, no, it should be deleting the done orders now. Oh, there we go. And what did we get there? Another thing that we don't have any control over. So this code again was generated for us, hence the warning up here. Files under the build folder are generated and should not be edited. So we didn't write this code, so I'm not really sure how we can fix it. But anywho, I guess we'll just try to run it again. And if we keep getting that error, we'll have to Google it and see what happens. But done inserting, that's good. That's good. And the best by is 222.94, and then we get the error. So let's just quickly see if that's the best by. 222. Yes, it is. Interesting. Perfect. Is it of size 2.81? No. For the record, size right there is less than that. And that is so weird. Why are we getting cursor window? All right, let's see what we see about this in Google then, since we keep getting errors that we can't do anything about. So we'll get back to the start of this. I'm going to search for Android room, and then that, and then let's take out some of this stuff that's probably, yep. So again, I took out that 5,000, the row, column, whatever, because that would probably be different for other people. So I just want to pull that out and show what's going to be the same. And that looks about right. And since Room was released recently, let's put this to past year. That's, wow. Yikes. Let's get rid of that. And perhaps this as well. Oh, that. SQLite cursors have a fixed internal buffer of 2 megabytes. So maybe we're trying to grab too much data with that. That could be it. That would be super frustrating if that's the issue, though. That would be kind of a pain to fix. So let's change open orders DAO. Oops, that's not what we wanted. We wanted get all. So let's do SQLite, since I'm not entirely sure. SQLite top. Need to know if SQLite has the top keyword. It does not. It has the limit keyword. So we will use that to limit to the, I guess, just 1,000. So here's what we want to do. We're gonna run this a couple more, actually just run it one more time here, see if we get that same error. And if we keep getting that error, then we'll yeah, we'll put in the thing, see if it fixes it. And the fix would be, it was here, so on get all. And we would do order by that, and we would do limit 1,000. And yep, look, we got that error again, right? Yeah, 5150 and it's 52, so got that same error. Is that even the same row, 5137? Yeah. Yeah, so that's happened a bunch. That's really odd. Though I guess if that's like the row where it hits 2 megabytes, then I guess it makes sense. All right, get us to the bottom, load it up, limit 1,000. Order book retrieved, adding open orders. All right, index out of bounds array. That's a new one. So I think that might be a good sign. Best buys.size. What does it not have a 0? Oh, what? Get all. Index 0, size 0. How did we get 0? Get all. Orders. Order by price, descending, limit 1,000. SQLite limit. And we can look for an example. Maybe. Oh, how do we search for limitations? Limit, there we go. So maybe the limit clause comes before the order by? Order by, limit, nope. Nope, we've got that correct. All right, maybe I'll just try running this again. So that's correct. All right, back in, let's see, control tab maybe? Yep, control tab. So this does do get all. Which should work. I don't think I'd need to update the anything else for that. What, did you already error again? Yes, okay. Open orders, done inserting. So let's come in here and say if best buys, and this is cool, if I set length or size equal to 0, it'll ask me to change it, which I think is really awesome. And use is empty instead. So that's, I love that. So that's another cool thing about Kotlin plus IntelliJ is that if you have, or rather, since IntelliJ builds the IDE, there's all sorts of stuff like that. There, it's like, hey, did you want to do this? So here, if we want to do is not empty, and if it's not empty, then we can log that. Otherwise, we can log, and we do need an else in there. We can log, it's empty. And yeah, that should do it. And this will run every 5 seconds, so we can see if it's, so perhaps behind the scenes that's taken a little bit to, get everything loaded in, and maybe it won't be empty later on. So let's get that going. I'll see if there's any questions in the meantime. Cool. And Okay, we've got the order book retrieved. We're done inserting. How have we generated an error again? It says it's not empty. That's what that means. All right, let's E, and we'll just do best buys size, $ brackets, best buys dot size. So now that will log first, and if we get an error on that line, then we're getting an error on best buys size, which shouldn't happen. We should get 0 for that if it is 0. Okay. Look at that. Size 1,000. Where is this error coming from? That's crazy. Array list get. Oh, I know where it's coming from. Oh my goodness. All right. So when we get best buys here, what this is, so when we get all, it is open orders by price, you know, limited, blah, blah, blah. But what the highest price things are all asks. They're all sells, right? Because the people selling are at higher prices than the people buying, right? So we got the red here above the green. And so the top 1,000 are all sells, which means that when we do, this is kind of a cool error, but oops, that's not the button I'm looking for. So when we do this and we filter it on buys, this best buy, this best buys list turns into a list with nothing in it, because again, they're all sells. So we get nothing here. And by accessing the first element of nothing, we get an error. So instead, let's refactor get all to only get the buys. So I'm gonna put in a new one here at query select star from open orders where side equal, oh wait, we have get best buy. Oh no, we can do just get best buy, can't we? Yeah, get best buy. Because this actually, and let's refactor this, because this is actually getting the best buys. Oh, capital S, that's no good. Rename, get the best buys. There we go. Actually, where's this even used? It's not used? Not used. Okay, so yeah, let's definitely use that. So instead of that, let's get best buys, which we should not need to filter because it should already be. And let me just check that real quick. So select star from open orders where side equals buy, and this is how you escape this backslash or forward slash, whichever, I think that's a backslash, buy, and order by price descending. So we'll have the top buys first, and we'll see if that still gives us an error. So we'll get best buys. That's good. Let's do that. So Control Tab to bring up the switcher and go back to main activity without having to use the mouse. And then the best buy is just best buys of, we don't need to filter anymore, 1 or 0. Oh, but it does need to be in brackets so that it will print as a string. And the word for that is string template. Okay, so we got that. That's all good. And this might still be too big and give us that error that we were seeing earlier, where it was like the cursor is too big. Or we assume that that was the cursor is too big error. And so best buys was never empty, so we don't even need, this if statement was totally unnecessary. Also, okay, adding open orders. Got 26,000 orders to add. Done inserting. Now we're adding more. just a few more. Okay, there we go. Done. Best by size 70. 70. 70? That's not right. How did 26,000 orders? Somehow we get to 70. All right, Best Buys. What are you doing? Where side is by, order by, price descending. Okay. Well, anyway, let's look at let's come in here, put in my filter key, and just stay at the bottom. Price 22294. Is that accurate? 22294. That's very accurate. A lot of different remaining sizes though. Although I bet there's a bunch of orders there. So actually let's the order book, we need to group by price, don't we? Yeah. So yeah, we can do that all in SQL, right? Yeah, we can. So let's get Best Buys. How is that only returning 70 things though? That's pretty crazy. Okay, so let me check and make sure there's no questions before I start digging into the SQL stuff here. Cool. So we need to first figure out where this 70 figure is coming from. That's a little disconcerting. And also we don't need to print this. We are printing it on the next line. Perfect. And get Best Buys. So open order, can we get the open order size? So we need to group by, let's minimize this for a second. Got insert, delete, those are fine. We've got get all, which is fine. Let's go get buys, which we should do as a refactoring. So refactor, rename, get buys, or bids rather, right? Yeah, get bids. So where side is buy, and we want to then group by price, which means that we're gonna make this a little prettier. Oh, does that not escape it anymore? That's frustrating. Or maybe we don't need it. Oh, I don't think we need it. Cool. So doing 3 quotes like that lets you do like blocks like this. Select from where, oops, group by, order by. Okay, so select, and since we can't select everything when we're grouping by price, what we'll do is just select the so this is no longer going to be a list of orders. It's going to be a list of, let's call it a pair of float and float. Which is a little, I'd rather use a custom object for that, but let's do this right now. So, okay, select, and then from open orders, which let's look at that table, we want to select the price and remaining size. Yep. So back here, let's select the price and then the sum of remaining size. And that will add up all of the orders for us. So instead of seeing oh yeah, there's an error. Interesting. So let's see what that error is, but to finish my thought, what that'll do is get rid of the thing where we're seeing every single order, and we'll roll them up into being one row per price. But let's see what that error was, because I wasn't expecting that one. Though also, this number is way too low. And cut this out. Bottom. Dang. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it did that same thing where it's probably reading too much. And that would be because when we jump to the open orders fragment, it probably uses the view model load open order sync. Yeah, this is too much. So we think that's the error, so we'll avoid showing that page until we've tested this out really quick. Or probably not really quick, but at a reasonable pace that allows for good test comprehension. All right, so get bids is going to give us the price and the size, which is going to come back as a list of floats. Which price and remaining size are you both floats? That's important. Price, float, remaining size, float, perfect. So we'll run that. That's going to get us the bids. It's going to put them here. So then best buys is, okay, and so this will show us how many pairs we have, and this will show us the first pair, and that should be accurate every 5 seconds, as long as we don't change the app to the open orders page, because then it will error. Oh, what? I'm not sure how to convert a cursor to this method's return type. We're just going to run that again. You've got to give me a better error than that. For a cursor to this method's return type. Okay, so that's probably from here. Okay, let's look at some room docs. So room, actually we have this one open already, so list of user, list of user. This one returns users. Can we have one that doesn't return users, that returns something else? Passing parameters into queries. Returning subsets of columns. Okay, room allows you to return any Java object from your queries as long as the set of result columns can be mapped into the returned object. Name tuple? Oh, okay. So I guess we have to do that. Meh. Why doesn't it just work? Okay, well this is the first thing I've thought about room that wasn't perfect, but we can do this. This isn't a problem. So, name tuple, first name, last name. Let's pull this up to the side so we can see it. Minimize that guy. Get rid of that. All right, so we need, where did my name tuple go? There it is. And I guess let's name this sum. Okay. Then we'll just define this class in here. Data class. Price tuple. Not really sure on a good name for this, but we'll just call it price tuple so we can move on. And what are you telling me about this? There we go, and then actually we should look at this guy to help us out. Price tuple. Okay, so then we have at column info var. This is going to be price float equals 0f, comma at column info var sum is a float equals 0f. And I think that should do it. Let's check back here. Column info name. I think you can omit the name if it's the same as this, which it'll be price and sum, so we should be fine there. So then we will do a list of price tuples, which actually we will need access to outside of this class. So I'm not entirely sure where we should define this data class, but by defining it right here, it will be available to everything in the package. Okay, so that should do it. Okay. I guess that's kind of cool that, okay, room cannot pick a constructor since multiple constructors are suitable. Annotate unwanted constructor. The query returns some columns, some, which are not used by a price tuple. Yeah, it is. It's right there. It's called sum. But okay, we will be more specific. So name equals price. Oops. Name equals sum. And you're going to give me the same error still. Yep. Oh, has some fields price which are not returned by the query. Oh my goodness, what is that called then? Price. Do I need to alias everything? What? Schema export directory is not provided to, so we cannot export either. Wait, is there a do I need a thing on top of that? Like this? Set export schema to false. Cannot pick a constructor. Okay, let's copy this. Which apparently that at causes issues. Okay, how did we, what is the difference between this and this? He took out the default values. You know, I'm willing to try it. Huh? All right. I'll take it. That seems to have worked, but did it run? Maybe. Let's go to the bottom of logcat and see what the timestamp is. 14:16. Yep. Which is actually not the time. I'm back in Portland now, so this is not the correct time. Size, that's a much better size. Makes more sense. And we've got price tuples coming in, and they should be somewhat accurate. So let's find out. 22294, 22294, 65. Well, that's not quite right. We've got 421, then 128. This 65 stuff. Pull that out. There we go. Got 75. That's a change. What are we missing then? How is that so much bigger? It's going to keep coming back 75, isn't it? You know, let's get the best cell as well to just give us more information to look at. Sometimes when you're debugging stuff, it really just helps to have more going on. So we'll copy this. We'll call it get asks. And we'll order by price ascending. So to start with the small ones. And then back in main activity, which is just a control tab away, and our thread here, we will val best asks equals db.openordersDAO.get asks, and then we will log the size of the asks, which should, combined with the bids, give us about the size that we saw in the beginning. So best asks.size, and then we'll do best ask is best asks of 0. And let's refactor rename this to be best bids, just to keep our language the same. Best bid. Okay. All right. Let's run that. Unless that's an error. I think that's a warning though. Yep. Right. We haven't needed to use this function for quite a while. As you can imagine, logging the entire database at this point, when we are pulling in 26,000 rows as the very first thing we do, would just not be helpful. All right, that is presumably running now. That's a huge sum. Best ask. Oh, we forgot to change that to ask, didn't we? And by we, I of course mean just me. I'm the only one responsible. And yep, buy, sell. That should do it. Run again. See if there's any questions. Oops. Cool. So that should run and give us something better than 1 cent for the best ask, because that would be a really bad ask. I mean, I'd buy it at 1 cent, certainly. Okay, so there are a lot more asks than bids. That's good. And oh, that's actually, that might be, oh, that's close, right? $431 at 22295 for the asks, and 22294.96, or rather, let's see, bid here is 149, and it says 350, so we're off, and this says 431. So it's not right, but it's closer, and we have the right prices for the best bid and the best ask. Though that best bid figure is baffling. How do there's obviously not 25 bids. What could that be? So let's put in a diagnostic query here. I'm going to do @query select count 1 from open orders where side equals by. And then that'll be fun. Get count, which will return an integer. And please don't make me make some ridiculous data class for that. Just let it be an integer. I don't have high hopes. I think this is going to throw an error. So then let's call that in main activity. Val num bids equals db dot open orders now dot ct, and then e num bids is num bids, and we'll run that and it'll tell us no, you have to create a data class for that. Yep, that is in use. Gradle build, come on. Oh, it worked. Nice. So I guess you only have to do this when there's more than one column, maybe? So this tabbing is bothering me. Perfect. And it ran to the bottom. Number of bids, 26,567. 26,571. 576. How are we getting this figure here? $584. I'd also like to see this bid figure fall. Okay, there we go. So this means that our done orders are getting canceled. So see, we were increasing here, which means maybe it wasn't working, but then we went down to 73, so it is working. But how are we not getting the same figures here? Let's look at the query. So, oh, well, because it's going to be grouped by the price. So this one is counting orders, and this is grouped by price. So it won't have the same count, won't have the same number of rows as this count returns. And so actually 6,000 and 7,000 seem pretty close. Those are good. I like that. No idea why we were getting 25 and such earlier. Like up here we were getting 37. Like there's more than 38 rows right here. So that's obviously not it. But whatever. It doesn't seem to be an issue now. So let's see what we got. And if we move this, let's reveal the answer. You know what? That's really close. 226 and 366. Let's give it another 5 seconds. Get another one to come in. 226, 297. I think we're there. I think this is it. 297. So that 297 should change to like 271 now, or 288 or something. 280. That's fine. I'll take it. Take it. And that 225. It's still 225. So I'm guessing this is this being 226 and this being 225 is probably a changed order, which is something we're not currently handling. And maybe that's a good step for us to handle now to see if we can get this to be 100% accurate, because it's really close at the moment. But all right, that's really encouraging. 226. Oh, okay. Let's see if this updates to be 200. It won't if that was a changed order, which it looks like it was. Yeah, give 5 more seconds there. And yeah. So, all right, those are pretty close to what we're looking for. Best bid was around 226, but then it changed to 200. And if it drops by 4 after 5 more seconds here, then actually we can see if these are cells by pulling out the trade history section. Not really. So maybe, oh, no, there was a 25 there that pulled it down. but maybe that didn't finish the order. That could be it. Okay, anywho, this is looking all right. Let's come back in. Let's go back to our messages, see what else we can handle. So we're now handling dones to get rid of it, but what about something that just got filled a little bit? So say you had an order to buy 100 and somebody sold into you and they bought 50 of them, or they sold you 50. Now your order's not going to send us a done message, but you still have 50 left, and we need to reflect that your 100 has become 50, which is not going to be a done. Maybe that's a match. Actually, a trade occurred. Yeah. So if we have a match, we could look up the maker order ID and the taker order ID, and we could subtract the size. That would do it. Change. This is the result of self-trade prevention, adjusting the order size or available funds. Orders can only decrease in size or funds. Change messages are sent anytime an order changes in size. This includes resting orders as well as received but not yet open. Also sent when a new market order goes through self-trade prevention and the funds for the market order have changed. Huh. So I don't think, so change might actually not be that useful. Especially if this is true, that this is the result of self-trade prevention, adjusting the order size or available funds. So self-trade prevention is you're not allowed to trade with yourself, which makes sense. So if you could just keep trading with yourself, you could make, so these bars down here are volume. So this is how much has been traded. So here we can see this V up here. This one has been traded. There were 158,000 Ethereum tokens traded in this 6-hour period. So each box is 6 hours, each candle. And we could make this a line too if we wanted to look at it that way. But candle is more the normal way to see it. But so this volume figure here, if you could trade with yourself, you could play games with this volume figure, and that's no good. So you can't trade with yourself. But if this change order is not for people who've, you know, put in changes, which I assume it would have to be, but that's not what it says. So I'm not, let's leave this for a second. And we need to figure out if a match order, so a match order that doesn't result in a done would be something we need to take into account. So yeah, that's going to be a little tricky. So before I get started on trying to do that for the last 30 minutes here, let's see if there's any questions on this. Cool. All right. So we've got bids, we're getting asks, they're grouped and whatnot, so we're getting them in a way that we can display to the user that's going to make sense. And we need to now handle match orders. So here, when we get an open order, we're going to delete that from the open orders table. But when we get a match order, we need to update. So do we have an update function for, we can close the nearby, but is there update? Update. Okay. Update is a convenient method that updates a set of entities given as parameters in the database. It uses a query that matches against the primary key. Okay. Return int value indicating the number of rows updated. That's good to know. So we will need to use update. There's a big cursor. We'll need to use update for this. So, the maker order ID. Now there's an issue here. So if we get a match message and then it gets immediately removed like this and we try to access it, then we'll get an error. But we can cross that bridge when we get there. Step 1, get the match message, or rather get the open order from, okay, so we'll get the order. Let's get both the orders. So db dot open orders now dot get order. We need a get order method. So let's go into open orders now. At query select star from open orders where, and how do we do parameters? Passing parameters colon. Cool. So where order ID equals colon order ID. That, and then fun get order. Then we're going to call it order ID, and it is a string. And this returns an open order. Just one, hopefully. Yes, because that is the primary key, so we should be very safe not making that a list. So then we have get order, and we can come back to wherever we were before. Looks like here, so get order. Maker order ID. Now the taker order ID should be filled with this, but we'll get them both, and if we get an error, then that'll be that. So maker order, taker order. Then we want to go to update. We need an update function in here, so at update. And how did that look? Okay. Date fun, update order, open order. I guess that's all you gotta do for that. So, and then let's go here, and we will call that method. So db dot open orders now. And here's something that I can show that's kind of cool. I don't know if this is how I actually want to write it, but we can do with db dot open orders now bracket, and then everything inside here we can just do this. So it's like, and here this is the open orders now. So that's what with does, which makes it just a little shorter to write stuff. So see, we can just write update order now. We don't need db.openOrders now. So update order, maker order, and we need to do first, oops, got to the bottom there. So we need to remove that size. So maker order dot remaining size minus equals size. Size. And then taker order dot remaining size minus equals size. And then we need to update both of those. So update order, taker order, and let's do these in this way so it's a little easier to follow what's going on. So what we do when we get a matched order now is we're going to get both of those orders from the database, update them to have a lower size, and then update them, actually update them in the database. So we're just updating the objects, here we're updating the database. And this might throw errors, but we will see. Yay, okay. Each bind variable in the query must have a matching method parameter. Cannot find method parameters for order ID. Okay, so apparently I did that wrong. And here, yep. Each bind variable in the query must have a matching method parameter. Cannot find method parameters for colon. Wait, did they name it with a colon? No. Okay, most of the time you need to pass parameters into queries to perform filtering operations, such as displaying only users who are older than a certain age. To accomplish this task, use method parameters in your room annotation, as shown in the following code below. When this query is processed at compile time, room matches the min age bind parameter with the min age method parameter. Room performs the match using the parameter names. If there's a mismatch, an error occurs as your app compiles. Yes, we have seen that. You can also pass multiple parameters or reference them multiple times in a query as shown in the following code snippet. Right, so it looks like I'm doing that correctly. Right, order ID. I mean, we can even control C this right there. Order ID equals order ID. Though actually that's going to need to be end quotes. Maybe that's the error. I really don't think so, but well, that's airing out again. I missed the session. Can I get it from the beginning? Yes, you can. So I don't know if you can do that currently, but you can. I mean, usually just click back to the beginning and it'll start from the beginning. Though I'm not sure how that acts when it's a live stream, though after I'm done streaming in about 25 minutes, then it will become just a normal video and you can just watch it at your leisure, however, whatever pace you want to watch it at. So pretty cool. And all right, let's see what error we got. Unused parameter arg0. What? So I'm going to copy that and we're going to see what room has to say about that. Close the % characters in your input query, not in the query itself. So should I just name it arg0? The binding parameter name should match the variable names rather than arg0. It should look like that. Search. That's exactly what I have. Yeah, that works. Oh, is that you get? So you get Boyer, I don't know his last name, is the guy who made architecture components for the Android team. So that would be cool if that was him. Perfect. Okay, so this person having the same issue. Yeah, that's not a real problem, or a real solution rather. Use parameter arg0. What if we just name it arg0? Are you gonna? What does that do? Same thing. Okay. Load hamsters. Search that like that. ID equals order ID. I really must have a match. Cannot find method parameters for order ID. How can you not find the method parameter for order ID? So maybe that's the error we need. Is that what we searched for? No. And delete this because order ID is not going to be the name. There we go. Yep. Okay. Kotlin isn't preserving the names of the arguments properly. Ugh. Really? So this is an actual error. Yay! Not my fault. Yeah, cool. Okay, so the generated stuff doesn't preserve the method name. That's annoying. You can work around this by using arg1 and arg0 as parameter names in your query. I have to use var0. Yikes. So you can fix it using this, but you got to do some stuff in here. So let's try arg0. Arg0. And then that other person used var0, so we'll try that too. Arg0, whatever. That didn't work a second ago. I guess maybe it didn't want the quotes around it. It seems to work now though. So that ran. And we're now getting order. Which, yeah, okay, so we're doing that open order stuff. Ooh. No pointer exception. Attempt to invoke virtual method, get remaining size on a null object reference. Let's see if we get that error again. All right, here we are retrieving the bids, inserting the bids, retrieving the asks, inserting the asks, failing. Okay, do we log the word fail anywhere? Failure, hey, look at that. So that happened. Huh, I have not seen that error out on us in that same way. So, and it's telling us we get a null pointer exception and gives us a stack trace dot. Okay, let's loop through that. So t.stacktrace.for each. Then let's log it, which is going to be a stack trace element. So that should give us a little more to our error message here, which we do know is a null pointer exception. And it looks like there is a, a stack trace here it kind of shows us, but oh, though these are good numbers though, actually. Anywho, we inserted numbids and whatnot. That's not the right number. Okay, that is a much, much better stack trace. Aha! So, taker order is null. Ha! That's what I said might happen. So if that got deleted, then it wouldn't be there. So then let's do a null check for those. So then we'll do if taker order dot not equals null. Oh, and it's got a shortcut for us. We'll see what that is in a second. But we'll do that, and then we'll do the same thing for, let's fix, simplify. What? But you said it was null. How can you just simplify that to true? Read match message. Okay, so let's Control Z this so we can get the error to show us back where it was. Okay, so right there. Taker order. Oh, so its remaining size is null? No. I'm pretty sure the open order is null. Get where Control. So if it's not found, it will return null, I guess. Shouldn't be able to return null because this isn't declared as a nullable receiver. But that's okay. Let's come, don't need match order. Where did my parser go? Okay. And then let's do this. Same thing we did before. If taker order not equal null, then we'll take taker order, and notice how these errors go away because it can smart cast it to know that it's not null inside that if block. So another cool thing that Kotlin can do for us. Then we'll do the same thing with maker order. I'm just going to copy this and Control Z that weird formatting, change this to maker order, and then to make sure that we're not getting any sort of copy and paste nonsense, we're going to take those lines that we know work, put them in there, and then let's log something. So E maker order is null. Else we'll log taker order. Order is null. And then we need our bracket. And let's run this again. So again, if the taker order presumably, we might not even need the taker order section. When the taker order happens, it's, somebody's crossing the line. So presumably they got completely filled on their order, and they're going to trigger a done message, which will trigger a delete from the open orders table, which will mean that it does not exist in the open orders table, which means that get order will return null, which means that it'll never call this, and we will always see taker order is null. And we will see if that is the case. Taker order is null. Taker order is null. Taker order is null. Maker orders have so far not been null. All right, let's look at this and see how well we're matched up. So are these updating? Yep, they have changed a little bit. 22366, 22369 and 0.1, that is correct. And 26.01999, also correct. Ladies and gentlemen, that was correct. And it's still correct. Oh my gosh. 26, 72.522, 25, 99999. We did it. Open orders. We just got to put them into the display now. And I think we've done it. All right. And let me actually, before we do that, let's see if any of the taker orders are not null. So E taker order, actually let's make this one lowercase so it's easy to see the not. Taker order is not null. We'll see if any of them are not null, because if none of them are not null, we can get rid of this whole taker order nonsense. Okay, that ran. Logcat's pulling in the stuff we need. Got a bunch of bids. That size is ridiculous. That's just not even right. Well, yeah, of course these are all null. That size is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense. Run it again. So that's been a recurring error that I don't know why it's going on, and is sort of out of scope for the last 10 minutes here. But so let's get a run where that doesn't happen. And we will see that the order book matches again, and we'll see if the taker orders are ever not null. Okay, so we got good size there, good size there. Taker order is null. Taker maker null. Taker order is null. Taker order is null. And let's just watch this for a few seconds. And actually we can move this over so we can even compare it to the order book, because that makes it a little more fun. All right, and jump to the bottom. (22387), 22388, those are good. Numbers look great. Taker order is always null. Maker order is occasionally null when we have not been completely loaded yet. So here we've hit this section before we were done inserting. So obviously we weren't able to find that order, and that might actually give us an error, or not an error, but we would have a piece of missing information because this order was not able to make the change as it wasn't inserted yet, depending on when that data came in. Difficult to keep track of. So here we're seeing taker order is null. It has been null every single time. And as Black Swans would have you know, just because we've seen it be null every single time does not mean that it is null every single time. We just need one of these to not be null for us to be wrong. But until then, this looks good. We've got 22391, 1255, 0396, and 473553, basically. Yeah, this looks awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and let's give it till 53, and we'll look for that taker order is not null. But it's not there, is it? We don't need to do taker orders in here. They're always null. That is certainly what it looks like. And that's 53. So give me some room again. And in here, we don't need to do anything with the taker orders. Let's add a comment though. Taker orders seem to always be null. So we don't need this. And we can leave this log message because it's good to know when this is getting called before. So it's good to know when the WebSocket's getting called before the data's come in from the REST API. Okay, this looks great. And are we really getting our money's worth from this guy? I don't think so. So I'm just going to copy that and put it before update order and get order. And then we can get rid of the width. Cool to show off. I don't think if you're only doing it 2 times, it's really worth it. Though it might be. Either way, I'll just leave it like this because it's less lines. Although this is certainly more confusing than just typing update order. But okay, we got that. And we've got this giving us the right stuff, get bids and get asks. So what we need to do now is in the open orders fragment, we need to not use what we've been using and the view model. So load open orders sync should be, instead of this, we need price tuple. So let's do a live data list of price tuples, which this is a class, we should capitalize that. Price tuple. Yeah, rename it. And then we want a list of price tuples for this. And this is going to be select from, and I don't think order by is really necessary. Yeah, that's not necessary. So then we're going to select, and you really shouldn't have to alias these, but we are, so whatever. Select price and sum as sum. Sure, from open orders, and then we need the group by. Group by price. Yep, and that'll do that. And then we return, and this will select everything. So this, again, it probably won't be too big because we're grouping by, but it might be too big. Though maybe since we're only selecting 2 columns, it'll be less info to return. So let's stick with that. And then is that going to give us issues here? Yep. So price tuple, and then go back to the fragment, and we're going to get some errors here. Which, wait a minute, we don't have any information about whether this is a bid or an ask. So group by price and side. So we need a new tuple. That's frustrating. So we might have to finish this in the next video, but let me think through it pretty quickly here. We've got open orders, which we need to actually not be all the open orders. So all this filtering stuff that we're doing here is better done in SQL. That's sort of SQL's forte, is dealing with sets of data, and we can certainly do it in code, but it's better to do in SQL. It's certainly more efficient. So let's see, let's grab. So I think what I'm going to do, we'll do a rough, we'll just create a new tuple here, and then next week we might clean some of this up. So price side tuple, and then we can just do this. Bring that over there. Let's put at column info name equals side bar side string. And then do that, and let's get a little space after that. Okay, so we got size. This is now going to be a price side tuple. So price side as side, and this, you can use an as keyword here, that's optional. So group by price and side, and that should allow us to select both of those. We will need a comma right there. Oops, right there. And that should be good for that. So let's copy price side tuple, because we'll need to paste it in here a couple times. Tuple, price side tuple, which we'll then need to import. And then we don't need this import anymore. And then over in here, this is going to give us, so then here, open orders, wait, what? Oh, it is a list of price side tuples. So price side tuple, this is just my little comment to help me remember what it is, though I could name it price side tuple and do that. And then all these its are bad because it's now called price side tuple, but that's a long name. I like it. It is easy. And I got my comment to help me remember what it is. So if it is not equal to null, which means that, remember when we typed it here, it lets us know that with the question mark that it might be null. So we say it's not null. Then we've got bids, which is it.filter on it.side equals by, and sort by descending. That should be correct. And then this should be it.filter on it.side is cell, sort by price, take top 10, list.add all asks, oh, this needs to be a price side tuple, list price side tuples, then open orders dot, which we need to change this to no longer be orders, but price side tuples, which we're going to have to change in a few other places. Update once a price side tuple. So if price side tuple. That's a long name. Price side tuple dot side equals by, and then price side tuple. I'm just gonna rename that to PST, just because that's really gonna make things hard to read, being that long. So price side tuple dot, is it not size? Dot sum. Should call that size. Maybe we'll refactor that in the next video. Dot sum. PST dot sum. And PST dot price. Okay, we got it, I think. So then open orders fragment. Yep. There's view model. You're happy. You're happy. We got price side tuple, which is going to return this. Then we're going to order it. Let's just run it, see if it works. Come on. I'm optimistic. I'm not optimistic. What? Entities and pojos must have a usable public constructor. Val cannot be reassigned via back and field. Let's just run this again. Okay, so it didn't give us that one again. And let's just search for that real quick. Might have to take that one into, okay, cool. We did find something. Did we not name it correctly? Side, price, sum, side, sum, price, side, price, sum, string, float, float, price size tuple, price side tuple looks just like that one. Price side sum. Does it need to be in the same order? So this one goes price and then sum. Yeah, maybe it needs to be in the same order. So price, side, sum is the order we have it in. I don't think that's the order I'd necessarily choose, but I somewhat chose it just by that being it. Val cannot be reassigned to back and field. Why are you telling me that? Let's see. Really? Adding a constructor would do it? I don't think that's... Well, we can try that. We can certainly try it. Constructor, this. 0f, that, and 0f. So now we have a no argument constructor there. Yeah, whatever. Okay. No class found, price tuple. That's not true. That class is easy to find. It's right there. Maybe you need a constructor too. So this can be 0f, 0f. We'll just hit run again. Jump into logcat, jump down here to the bottom. Oh, since multiple constructors are suitable. Okay, so maybe this one doesn't want a constructor. All right, we built successfully again, but I'm not convinced that this is going to fix the issue. Phone call from 555-555-5555. Yeah, that's not a call we need to worry about. Okay, so looks like we're gonna have to take this one offline. Class not found exception on something. So let's actually before we do that, let me stop this all. Stop everything and just run it again, because usually when you get something that's not on the dex path list, that's not usually can be fixed by just running it again, or sometimes restarting Android Studio. All right, well, I'll have to figure that one out, take it offline and see where we go from there. But we saw it, we got the orders up. So I think next steps for this project is to complete the order book screen to look like this section here. And then perhaps once that's finished, we can move on to the chart. So let me see if there's any questions before I sign off. Shovel asks, have you tried the Canary version? Yeah, this, so this actually is Canary 4. I think we're up to Canary 9 now. But I am very excited for 3.0 to be in a stable release, because updating your Canary build every week or so is kind of annoying, which is why I'm still on 4, and yet we have Canary 9. Though perhaps that could be one of the reasons these errors are happening. But I'll figure out what's going on with these errors and bring it back to us next week so we can see what's going on and continue with the project. But I think we made some really good progress today. We got the orders done. We were able to see the best bid and the best ask, and they were correct. So really cool that we are pulling together the WebSocket data and the REST API data to the same place and just reconciling that together to create a really nice UI. And so yeah, next week we'll work on finishing out that UI, making it really pretty, and fixing any of the bugs we had by using the Room API. So, all right, I'll see you all next week.